Oh, there, I get all doing. I've been watching a bit of Ian Carroll lately. Just because quite a good researcher. But there's something that's been troubling me about him. It's really annoying me. And it's this focus on Jews, Israel. Now, first of all, I've no political affiliation, right? I've no skin in the game either. And many of you are old, you know. I've been at this game a very, very long time. I've already been through the Israel trap, as I like to call it. Everyone does. It's perfectly normal. So don't worry, Ian. Give it time, you start to change your mind. Hopefully a little faster than most. You see, these guys always have a scapegoat. They're very good at presenting these scapegoats, at making you think these scapegoats are the be-all and end-all. And they're not afraid of causing a bit of chaos, starting a few wars, and harming as much life as possible to get you to believe that scapegoat. But the fact remains, irrespective of how horrendous the stuff is that they've done, these scapegoats are still, at the end of the day, it's still a scapegoat. I've tried to open your eyes a little bit a few times. I've got pretty much nowhere, even though I've sent you a lot of information. You asked for evidence to go against your game or what you said, and I've sent it you. For some reason you chose to ignore it. The last time I sent you these. This man, I asked you to first figure out who he is, and then the floodgates will open. That's what I said. Again, this is something else you've ignored, because this is the first step to understanding what we're up against, actually up against. The Israel question these days is irrelevant. The only people bothered about it are Palestinians and people who don't like Jews particularly much. that guy is a big key. I'm still not going to tell you who he is, because I'll be cheating. But know this, the tip of the spear, people at the top, that guy is far closer than any Israeli. Far closer than the Rothschilds to that tip of the spear. Yet most people don't know who he is. And it's not even him that's the main thrust of that power, but one of his brothers. This has always been, especially with the Israeli situation, a US and UK led operation, as I've said countless times. Mossad is based on what is the CIA? Based on British military intelligence, primarily MI6 and MI5, been around for the longest time. Well, they're based on something else, which is the Jesuits. If you bothered to look back far enough, you'd know this. There's a guy that I posted a clip to before I posted those pictures, Michael Sarian. He's talking to another guy called David Whitehead. Both of those men, if you're not going to listen to me, listen to them. Because we all think the same. We all know the same. But we don't know each other. I mean, I may have replied to a few of David's tweets. That's about as far as it goes. Michael, on the other hand, don't know Saul. But we both come to the same conclusions completely independently. He's come to it from looking at the history and the development of anti-Semitism and where it comes from. Something I advise you do, to actually understand what's going on. Understand your thought process. Why do you think that way? I came to it from looking at psychological operations and the conspiracy movement in general. Where did that come from? Why did this come about? Two things, if you're in this game, you need to do. Doesn't matter which one you go for. Both will lead you to the same conclusion. Israel is in it. The Jews are in it. This is a multinational, multi-ethnic, multi-faith operation. And has been going on for centuries. These people have no agenda to anyone but themselves. That's it. All you're doing is stoking up more tension and more division. And I know this is something that everyone says to you, even the Mossad types that are obviously trying to smear it at the moment. The biggest indication of a psyop is that it triggers high emotion. Learn that.
Here's the subject. If you want to keep on being anti-Semitic, then you don't want to know the answer to that. If you do, if you really press me and you want to know the answer for these things, and there's many more like that, then we're going to have to throw anti-Semitism out the window. So most people go, oh, I'm happy with my Jew hate. It keeps me warm at night. I can always blame, the guy, the Silverstein guy down the street. Brilliant. The disinformation on Judaism is so unbelievable. It really is. And this very sketchy knowledge of Jewish actual history, let's be more correct. We're talking about my research now, so it's not just purely Jewish history like any historian could do. No, it's more than that. It's a study of anti-Semitism. It's a very different thing. It dovetails with the history of Jews, but that's not where I set out. I set out to study the thing that I was. I was anti-Semitic. I was along for the ride, and I had read every single author who had the Jews firmly fixed in their mind as being the central antagonists, in world conspiracy. I know that I read them all inside out, upside down, and back to front, non-stop. So I've already gone through this whole gamut. I know where their minds are at, because I was one of them. And how convenient it is in the greater journey of life and knowledge to find this ledge. You're exhausted, right? You're confused, you're overwhelmed. And so to find a hobby horse and to find a whipping boy, a scapegoat, actually has a very big psychological draw, is what I would say. It did for me. And the trouble is, it creates a box around your head. When you buy into the dogma, you cease being an open-minded person. And the prejudice and the bigotry begins, you see. And that then stops you being able to see the wood for the trees, so to speak, And again, there's that level of euphoria because you think you've cracked it. Some writers on the subject are more convincing than others. If you form a very strong allegiance to those guys because you love their work, in fact, some of their work I still love on other subjects, and I admire them as what they were trying to do. But at the same time, I then, way back years ago in the 90s, started to say, how can I reconcile this anti-Semitism with the massive amount of Jewish writers and thinkers, comedians, whatever, who have benefited Western culture and benefited a lot